I screamed out in the middle of the gym, and then I decided to stop listening to audiobooks at the gym. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Lotus Life with Maya Shonen channel. I'm Maya, and I'm gonna start off my channel with the Newbie booktuber tag. So just got the list of questions with me, and I'm gonna read them and answer them for you. Alright, first question. Why did you start this channel? I really wanted to have a creative outlet for myself outside of work. My life has been a little chaotic this year. I just finished grad school in May. I started working as a librarian prior to that, but officially in May once I had my degree. And I've also been planning a wedding, so I'm like a little all over the place, but now everything is slowing down. I'm more used to my job. The wedding's almost here, so everything's kind of coming together, and I really just want an outlet for myself. I really want to get back into reading. I mean, have been reading, but like keeping track of my reading because that's also part of my job. So yeah, I just wanted to keep up with books and have a way to create content as opposed to just being a content consumer, and yeah, so hopefully you like that. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I inherited a cookbook club at my job. One librarian started the club, she left the system, then my coworker inherited the club from her, then she became a supervisor, and I inherited the club when I came into the department. And I like to cook. I'm not a chef, I'm not really good at cooking, so I enjoy the club and the challenge of having to find books for the club members, find a recipe for myself, and then making the recipe. So I think that's a little something different that I haven't really seen anyone do in Booktube. I might be wrong, I haven't explored all of Booktube, but that would be something I plan on doing, videos of me trying to make recipes for my cookbook club. It's only once a month, so you'll only see like one video a month if I end up doing it, and I want to do it because it'll hold me accountable and force me to make something. And yeah, I also plan on doing some library related videos and tying them back to books. So you can expect that from me. I don't know, again, if that's necessarily new, but maybe the way I deliver the information will be new. So, what are you most excited for about this new channel? Interacting with whoever ends up coming here, stopping by, drop a comment below if you like. Also, please hit the like button if you like my content, and also subscribe so you can get a new notification. I plan on dropping videos every Sunday at the same time, so look out for that. Also, yeah, just meeting new people, interacting with people in the YouTube community, and also challenging myself. So that's what I look forward to. Why do you love reading? I like worlds. I like, and this is a question that I'll answer later on, I guess, is the types of books I like to read. I like fantasy books, and because of that, because of the different worlds you get to explore. So I really like escaping into new worlds and, you know, beliefs and systems, the characters, new ships. If I find a relationship in a book that I enjoy, that is well done. And I like learning, because I will also be talking about nonfiction books on here, primarily young adult, because that's what I read and what I write. I am a writer, unpublished, working on that, and I hope to write young adult novels, so I read primarily young adult. I also originally wanted to be a teen services librarian, so that was one of the reasons why I read primarily young adult books, but I have to get back into reading adult books because I don't know what anyone's reading right now. And I read adult nonfiction, so I'll be talking about some of those books on this channel as well. What book or series got you into reading? There's been a couple, because I've had lulls. I've never been a avid reader, especially when I was a kid. I hated reading. I got my stories. I love stories, but I got them from video games. I had a PlayStation when I was a kid, so like Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, even though I was terrified of it. Even weird things like Crash Bandicoot. And I also had a PC computer, so my mom would get me like random PC games like Carmen Sandiego, or random Barbie games that had like these convoluted storylines or whatever. Sorry, I have been sick all week, so of course this is the week I decided to start my channel. So forgive me if I sound like I don't know. But so it took me a while to get into reading, but the first book I ended up really reading was Memoirs of Geisha. I was like 12 or 13 when the movie was getting ready to come out, and I really wanted to see the movie, but I knew it was based off a book. So I went to my school library, and I found the book in my middle school library, and I started reading it, and I fell in love, and I read it relatively quickly. And from there, I ended up reading a lot of random adult novels that I probably shouldn't have been reading at my age. But in high school, I went back to teen novels, specifically Twilight. Those are not the best books that I've ever read. At the time, I was obsessed with them. I loved them. And I told all my friends about them. And it's like, it's whatever, you know, like, obviously I would not reread Twilight now as I am as an adult. But at the time it got me into reading, so I consider them important to my story. Also in college, she wasn't my roommate at the time, but eventually she became my roommate and friend in college, introduced me to the Hunger Games. So I read that trilogy in college, and after I graduated in 2014 from undergrad, and I think the first real series that I read and listened to, I started listening to audiobooks after I graduated. It was Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Mayer. And I listened to Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress, and then half of Cress, and then I started reading Cress. I found the physical book in my library, and I started reading that, and then I got into Winter, and that was it. So there's been a couple of book series or just standalone books throughout my life. Also, I think one of the adult books that I read in college was Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. So different things throughout, you know, my life that have gotten me into reading, and now I'm just reading all over the place. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I would ask them what they're reading currently, and if there's anything they would recommend to me. That's about it. That's all I can think of right now. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? For me, since I work in a library, I come across books all the time because I make displays, so I'm constantly looking for books to put on my displays. We get people. I don't work in the circulation department. I work upstairs in reference, so sometimes people bring us books. Sometimes we just find books sitting out in the library. Sometimes my coworkers are processing books. In my branch, the information services, the adult services, and the teen services department are all in the same office. And sometimes the teen services librarians are processing books, and they're like, here, look at this book. And I'm like, oh, I have 10 at home. I have 3 on one electronic app, and then I have 3 on another app. Because we have 2 apps specifically that I use, Hoopla and Libby, and I download ebooks and audiobooks from both. So I just have books everywhere, and I have a hard time finishing books. And that's kind of where I'm hoping this channel will come in and help me finish books and then talk about them so I don't forget to. But so finishing books and then filming, because I don't always look presentable. It took me a long time to get myself together to just film this. So those I think are going to be the hardest challenges for me. When did you start reading? Like I said, it was like 12 or 13 when Memoirs of Geisha came out. I started reading that, and then I slowly read other things, mainly fan fiction, but whatever, it's reading. Where do you Where do I read? Everywhere. I read literally everywhere. When I was heavy into audiobooks, and I still listen to audiobooks, just not as frequently, I've been trying to read more physical books. And if I listen to audio, it's usually a podcast. But when I was heavy into audiobooks, like when I started listening to the Lunar Chronicles, I had a CD player in my car. I have a CD player in my car because my car is really old. So we have CD audiobooks, and I would take them out and listen to them in my car when I had a further commute to work. I've eventually learned that listening to audiobooks and trying to drive at the same time is not a thing for me. Didn't get into any accidents, but just to prevent one from happening, I decided to cut that out. I also we have these things called playaways. They're like this weird shape little box that has the book cover on the front, and in the back you can put in batteries, and then you can plug in your headphones to them, and it's an audiobook. And I used to take them out from work, and I would listen to them at the gym. And I was reading or listening to The Night Circus, and something like scared me while I was listening to it, and I screamed out in the middle of the gym, and then I decided to stop listening to audiobooks at the gym. Sometimes I listen to them on my lunch breaks, but yeah, and the last audiobooks I listened to were earlier this year. I read or listened to the original RBG. Is that what it was called? No. It was about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, the original RBG? Or I don't know. I'll link it down below. And then and then I also listened to The Last Black Unicorn by Tiffany Haddish. And that's how I started off this year, was with audiobooks, because I was having a hard time with reading. It was mostly because I was in school, and there's only so much you can look at a book. Just like there's only so much I can look at a screen. So sometimes I was just listening to audiobooks to kind of like take my eyes off something. And I would listen to them while I was cooking, while I was cleaning, or just sitting. I also read at home, primarily on my couch, because my couch is the best. It's so comfortable, and it's my favorite place. I have it's like an L-shaped couch, and the L is leaning against my window, which is facing over there. And I sit in the corner with like tea or hot chocolate or coffee, and I read for a couple hours on end. I try to read when I have like nothing else to do. I also read sometimes before bed, but if I'm reading in bed, I'm usually reading webtoon comics, and I could do a whole video on what webtoon comics I'm currently reading if you guys are interested in that. I can't like rate the whole comic from beginning to end because none of them are finished yet. They're still ongoing. But yeah, and then at work I try to read on my lunch break. My 15-minute breaks are not long enough for me to get into a book, but yeah, so I try to read on my lunch breaks, whether I'm outside or inside or at my desk. And so yeah, I try to read all the time if I can. And what kind of books do you like to read? Like I said, I like to read fantasy. I like to read fantasy sci-fi, and I like realistic fiction, but usually if it's realistic fiction, it's like got a romantic subplot to it, because life is depressing enough. And usually the fantasy novels are like dystopian, and they have enough distressing stuff in it that I don't need to read realistic fiction with distressing stuff in it. But that's not always the case. And again, I like to read nonfiction, kind of self-help or biographies of people. And I will be talking about those books, the ones at least that I read this year, on this channel. And as we go into next year, I will be talking about the books that I read as I go. And so, like I said, I am Maya. This is the Lotus Life channel. You can follow me here. I have an Instagram that is my work Instagram. It's not affiliated with my job. This channel is not affiliated with my job. The channel is called Lotus Librarian. I picked that name because I'm obsessed with the phrase, "the flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all," from Milan. Also, did you guys see the Milan trailer? By the time this video comes out, it'll be like a couple weeks old, but I'm so excited for Milan. One of the books I read this year is Reflection by Twisted Tale, about Milan traveling to the underworld. I'll be reviewing that as well. And but yeah, the lotus flower, I got into yoga through my job at the library. One of the librarians, who is a coworker and mentor of mine, is also a certified yoga instructor, and I got into yoga. And a lotus is a position I still can't get into. Shout out to all my inflexible yogis. And yeah, so it just kind of became a thing. Thinking of myself as a lotus flower, I was definitely at a point in time in my life where I was very depressed, and I didn't really see, you know, I was depressed with myself, where I was in my career, and even as a person. And so I like to think of myself as a lotus flower, blossoming when things get hard. And yeah, and things have been hard for me the last couple weeks, and this was kind of a way to get myself out of that. So I hope that you guys will, whoever stops by, will look forward to my upcoming videos. Maybe you'll learn something, maybe you'll grow with me. And until next time, thank you so much for stopping by, and have a good one. Bye.